In my senior year, I had a major crush on Liv Parker. She was the sports club president, and seriously the coolest girl in the whole world, and totally out of my league. So when she texted me on Friday evening, asking if I could meet her at the paddle courts at midnight, I was completely blown away. I was so stoked, I didn't even stop to think about why she'd want to meet so late or why she picked the courts near my house instead of hers. I only said sure, and got there at around 11:45. The courts were totally empty, except for the street light and the glow from the court lights that stayed on all night. I waited for Liv, checking my phone every minute, texting her, but hardly got anything back. By 12:30, I finally realized that she wasn't showing up. The whole thing was a prank to make me look stupid. Someone either used her number or set me up as a joke. Either way, I'd been totally played and felt like a complete moron. I was humiliated and pissed at myself for thinking someone like her would actually want to meet me. As I turned to leave, I heard the sound of a ball being hit. Someone was playing at midnight on one of the courts. I walked closer, thinking maybe it was Liv waiting for me, playing around until I got there. I got right up to the fence and peeked through. A man was inside the court, wearing nothing except black boxers and a rundown t-shirt that looked like it hadn't been washed in weeks, maybe longer. His hair was sticking all over, and he was barefoot. When he swung his racket, I saw a streak of blood running right down his nose. The dude didn't even try to wipe it or, acknowledge it. He just kept playing. I stretched up to see who was on the other side, but nobody was there. He was totally by himself. Still, he was playing like he had someone across the net. He'd hit the ball and then run to the other side and react as if someone had returned it, hit it back, and run again. And he was talking and having a full conversation with this invisible opponent. "Good shot, mate," he'd yell before he'd laugh and clap like he was genuinely impressed. A few seconds later, he'd get aggressive and angry. "Come on, that was out! That was fucking out!" He'd scream at empty air, argue with himself, and go back and forth. Suddenly, he'd calm down and keep playing. I stood there, frozen and watching. This man didn't seem right in the head. I needed to get out of there before he noticed me. I slowly backed away from the fence, turned around and started walking toward the exit, trying to be quiet without drawing attention. I was maybe halfway to the parking lot when I realized that the sound of the ball hitting had stopped, and so did his voice and the running footsteps. My chest tightened. I walked faster with my heart pounding, almost got in my car when a hand on my shoulder stopped me mid-step. I froze. I couldn't move or breathe. Slowly, I turned my head. The man was standing right behind me, face to face and too close, which meant he'd followed me all that distance, all that time, and I hadn't heard a single footstep. He was staring at me, with blood still running from his nose. He smiled and wiped the blood with the back of his hand. It smeared across his face. "That was a tough match, man. My opponent is really good. Gave me a real challenge tonight." He was talking about the invisible person. I blinked and didn't say anything. His hand was still on my shoulder. My heart was pounding in my chest, and my hands were shaking. But I don't like being disturbed. I came here at this hour to play with my friend in peace. The mention of that friend made my skin crawl. I didn't wait to hear any more. I ran as fast as I could without looking back. I got in my car, locked the doors, and floored the gas. When I looked in the rearview mirror, he was still standing in the parking lot, watching me. He wiped the last trace of blood from his nose before he raised his hand and waved slowly, like he was saying goodbye to an old friend. I drove home and didn't tell anyone what happened. Who would believe me? That I got catfished to empty courts at midnight and saw a man playing against an invisible opponent? It sounded insane even to me, but it happened. A week later, I drove past those courts during the day. People were playing. Everything looked fine, but I couldn't shake the image of that man, and of the blood on his face, and of him arguing with no one, and of how quietly he'd moved. I'm in college now, and dating this super cool girl from math class. Liv Parker moved to a school 2 states over, so I barely ever saw her, but I still never go near those courts or drive past them at night. I keep thinking about what he said, and it makes me wonder who that friend was. Was it someone real who died? Someone he killed? Or maybe a ghost he thinks he's playing with? I honestly don't know which option is worse, but I know one thing for sure. That man is still there and still playing at midnight, talking to someone who isn't there. And I'm just grateful I ran when I did, because something tells me if I'd stayed any longer, he would have asked me to join them and to be the next friend who plays with him forever.